Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, you already broke? I gave him a toy just a minute ago, and he's already broken the rattle inside. You know what? I won't
Those
buy that.
birdies.
I won't give that one to him anymore. I've got the round ones. This one, he figured out he can destroy the ball. It's harder for him to take apart. Let me see if I can switch the camera here. Okay, the 4 hour. Hit this, hit that, switch this, click that. There we go. He's already destroyed the rattle. There's a piece of it right here. Nah, I'm not giving it to you. You want it? It was a rattle ball. It was. Well, not a rattle ball, but a rattle toy. It's harder for him to do the rattle balls. And this particular brand, which is the Bonka brand, he has to break out a section to get to the ball.
Okay, it looks like Don has gone.
Yeah, that was the Cecil doing that. So
Ah. Well, viewers, we apologise for the Cecil related interruption.
he's a bit of a nut. So yeah, that's the first time he's done it on here, but
Well, we can greet some of our chatters. We've got Lisa and Jam and Jamie and Calvin Thurston and Falcon Sue. So hello to all of you guys. Nice to see you.
hello and a big birdie shout out. What was that? Oh, you can break that part out too, huh? Okay. Is that the little piece that goes on the end? He's figured out how to bust those out of there. It's harder to take the posts apart, but he's busting out that little top piece now. You are such a nut.
And what did you say the brand was? Bunkbuster or something?
It's Bonka,
Bunker.
Bonka.
Couldn't have thought of a better name for a toy that Cecil would like.
He's gonna bonk me with it, that's for sure,
He
aren't you?
sure is. And we've got
But
Rosebud as well. Hello, Rosebud. Nice to have you.
hi, Rosebud. Cecil's beating up the toy I just gave him.
That's business as usual for a Cecil.
What? I'm just petting you. I'm just petting the boy. Messing with your toy? Am I messing with your toy? Yeah, he had to show us last time all about how Don uses ABA. Because since that day, whoops, I didn't mean to drop it. Here, I'll put it there if you want it back. You won't take it from me. I doubt you. You take it from me? Maybe. Nope. He throws it at you if you give it back to him. Here, I'll take it.
Yeah, the Cecil and Don show sounds about right, doesn't it? Oh,
You're done
Cecil.
with it. He's done with it.
I'm sure
All
he'll
right.
find some more mischief to get up to.
I'm sure. Well, last time he showed us that ABA works because since that point he has not tried that routine of tapping my arm and trying to hit me with something. He hasn't done it since. So let me switch the cameras here. So we ended up showing that instead of going into more detail about ABA, but ABA in action is a lot more instructive than actually just talking about it. Now he'll hold the toy, look at me, and you can tell the mind is going, and then he doesn't tap me. He'll when he puts the toy down, he comes over and taps the heck out of me, so I'll pet him. But He'll go on for a half hour, not letting me get more than 20 seconds rest. This boy, won't you? So what we really showed last time is that when you have a behavior you don't want to see, you withhold your reward. In this particular case, that's called extermination, when you take the reward out of a situation to try to reduce a behavior. So what I did was tap the toy when he tapped my arm with his foot. Every time he tapped me with his foot, I tapped the toy. And so he eventually associated the toy with, I'm not going to get petted and I can't play this game. So when he put the toy down, he came over and started tapping me, and then I pet him. So that cinched the deal. Now he understands. Now he may do it again. We call that resurgence. When they do it again, and you just go back to the same thing you did before, and it usually you can solve it a lot quicker. Maybe 2 or 3 times I'd have to tap the toy, and he'd get it. So he's a smart boy anyway, aren't you? You gonna play with Snowball? Now, extinction is one of those things we've talked about. We've talked about all of this before, but extinction is where you withhold something. For example, or you ignore something. If your bird starts screaming, you ignore it. You can't use it by itself. It has to be paired with something else. So in the case of what I was doing with him, it was paired with, when he put the toy down and tapped me, I was going to immediately start petting it. So the problem with extinction is if you just remove the reward in a situation, you can end up with a much worse situation where they'll just do everything in the world to get a hold of you. Like in screaming, they'll start screaming more or screaming louder. So if you try to use extinction, ignoring something or not rewarding something, you're going to get what we call an extinction burst, and that can go either way. So that's why you want to always pair it with some kind of reward. So the extinction in his case was if he was holding a toy aggressively at me, tapping me so that he could hit me with the toy, I tapped the toy and did not pet him. So once that was that was working extinction. So he was being notified he was not going to get petted. And as soon as he stopped doing that and he came over and tapped me, he got petted, so he got rewarded. You have to pair things like that. So when your bird's screaming, just keep screaming. Wait until they stop or they say something like, hello, immediately go and reward it. Reward it from across the room by using a bridge. Good bird. Go over and give them a little treat. I know you're both looking at me because I said that. I'm sorry. Yes, you're both good birds. They know that
Wondering what they
phrase.
did.
They're wondering, am I going to get a reward now? I'm sorry, I said that too loud, didn't I? Yeah. Now he thinks he's going to get a reward. He's coming over here.
Oh,
Well, it's okay. I'll pet him. It's a reward he likes. It's a secondary reinforcer, but he likes it. So he comes up, he'll get petted.
it's a
Hi,
reward for living
Cecil.
over.
Yeah, be sure you don't, make a cue and don't not reinforce it. That's like saying to somebody, hey, I'm going to pay you $10 for that. And then when they come up for the $10, you go, oh, well, I changed my mind. Try $100 and see how you get it. With these guys, it's kind of like, I'm going to offer you a basket full of money. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do it. It might be just a cashew to you, or it may just be a pat on the head to you, but to them, it is the reward for what they've done. It's their paycheck. So,
It's the principle of the thing
yes,
as well.
exactly. And they're quite principled. As with Snowball, who will stop playing if he thinks he bit you. He's never actually bit me in the process of playing frisbee, but he thinks he has a couple of times, and then he just stops playing. Now he's got one of those rattle balls, just the rattle that goes inside. He's going to probably take it apart over there. That is the fun part, not the rattling.
So on the topic of extinction bursts, so a human equivalent to that might be kicking the vending machine or throwing the computer through the window.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you've heard it, like, are you getting ready to go out? We're going to go to dinner, right? Well, I don't think so tonight. Then watch them. Well, you said, and who knows what else will follow after that. Doesn't It's going to come from either party that made the deal and broke it, right? So we see that with all animals, actually. So we do use extinction, but only paired with a reward, unless, of course, you want it to get worse. The other example I use of that is, somebody's walking down the street and you go, "Hey Jane," she just keeps on walking. "Hey Jane," she just keeps on walking. She doesn't hear you, or you figure she's, "Hey Jane," she does. Then you yell at the top of your lungs, and she turns around and says, "Oh, I'm sorry." And the next time, how loud do you think you're going to yell to get Jane to pay attention to you? Are you going to just start with "Hey Jane"? Probably not. You'll be louder, and that's exactly what happens with the parrots. So don't use extinction by itself. Well, you can do that, but then don't come crying to me when you've got a bird that's screaming all the time.
And you
Oh,
have to remember that these birds can always go louder than you can.
always.
Always.
So one of the other things we didn't talk about this last time because Cecil was showing us one of the main points of ABA, which is better than me talking. Let's face it. Don't be inconsistent. If you have a cue, and you saw what happened, how they both stared at me when I said "good bird." Now, if I say it quietly, they'll notice it, but the reason they notice it is because I have two cues. One cue is the intermediate cue, same words, and that's when they're doing something right, and there's going to be a reinforcer at the end. I'm doing their nails. I'm not going to give them, if like with Bob, I don't give him a treat every time I cut a nail. I do it when I'm done. Because Bob has to have a treat, or he won't let you do his nails. That's our deal. So after I'm done with each nail, I say "good bird," and I say it quietly. You can. There are other phrases, but whatever the phrase is you choose to use, stick with it. So, and generally, the intermediate cue is the same cue, just said quietly. And then when they finally get to the point where you're going to give them a reward, say it loudly and proudly.
Do you reckon when you say good bird into the phone and not to one of them, do you think that they reckon you're telling yourself you're a good bird?
I have no idea. That could be it. I don't know what they think. That's one of the things we're taught when we take ABA is you'll never know what they're thinking, but you can observe behavior and work with
Mm.
it. But
And it's
that's
fun to
possible.
speculate.
It's possible because I get a different reaction when I'm sitting here talking with the phone with Sugar than I do if I don't have the phone in my hand and I'm not talking. Right now, she'd probably be whining, wanting to have her beak petted, but she isn't going to do that if she knows I'm in one of these meetings because I'll only do it for a couple of times and then I go back to what I'm doing. So she's learned not to, not to. She's actually learned to wait until I'm done, and then she floods me with requests, which of course I fulfill because if I don't fulfill them, then I'm going to get behavior. I don't know what behavior I'm going to get. I'm going to get an extinction burst, and that can be almost anything. Mhm.
When you say flood with requests, I bet from Sugar's point of view, she's flooding you with rewards for getting off the phone. She's like, "Oh, John would love to pet me, and now that he's got off the phone, he can finally pet me properly for a long time. That's his reward."
That might be exactly what she's thinking. I wish we could read their minds, but it's a good analysis. That might be what she's thinking.
I just think
Um,
it's so interesting to imagine because we can never know, but it's certainly fun to make up wild stories.
yeah, it helps too in some ways to do that. Get your mind being creative because you run into situations you think you can't solve. Like I just met a an Amazon that is bonded to this woman, and her husband is he's obviously the one that the Amazon doesn't want around because he can see that there's a mate bond there, and it shouldn't be, his mate should not be bonded to someone else. So I hope to work with them on that, but you're never sure how people are going to take to you trying to help them in a situation like that. So if they call me up and ask for more help about it, then I'll help. Otherwise, I'll stay out of it because um, it does take a little bit of tenacity. They are working. No, he's the only one giving treats to the bird now. They've figured out what its favorite treat is, and he gives this bird a little bit of cashew 3 times a day at different times. That's the come bearing gifts, and he's trying to get the bird to look at him, but I think the problem there is getting used to the idea that it doesn't matter what the bird does. If the bird doesn't look at you when they're supposed to be looking at you for a second before you give them a treat, then you don't give them the treat. And you start counting again. Sooner or later, that bird's going to give you the look and look at you. And when it does, you reward it and you go on. And after a while, they'll just start looking at you. I mean, it works for everything. Um, I watched it being done with seals and sea lions, and uh, the fun one is the oh, come on, brain. It's bizarre that I can kind of get the picture of, which I don't normally get pictures in my mind, but I can't think of the name of the animal.
A blue
It's not.
whale,
Yeah, it's not a jackal. It's a hyena.
coyote.
Hyenas are probably the most vicious to try to deal with, and when you're other than dealing with a zebra, zebra's the
Oh yeah,
worst.
they're lethal.
But a hyena's. I watched one of her students giving an injection to a hyena. Um, so ABA works. I mean, the hyena presented its neck to get the injection. Hello, yeah. You get an idea that it works when you see that. Uh, so be consistent. Don't give inconsistent cues. Make them the same. And that can be that, like when you're going to go out, always use the same kind of thing. Outside, you say outside if you're going to go out, and then you bring out the aviator harness and you put the harness on them, and or you put them in their carrying cage, and then when you're going to take them out, you say harness, so they know that they're going to get the harness on, and just use consistency. We humans tend to want to be verbose. Think of it like the English substitute for creativity, the word vary. Okay? Yeah, people use the word vary for everything. So stick to the one word that they know that's associated with a particular situation. So consistency is incredibly important. Don't push them too fast either. Sometimes they learn quickly. Sometimes they're not into learning mode. Um, You try to teach them something for a little while, then show them something, have them do something. Like if you're trying to teach one behavior and they just aren't getting it, they're going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated. So what you do is they already know how to step up. You simply say step up. They get on your hand, step up, do it again, step up, going, saying good bird louder each time, and then give them a treat and end the session. So everything ends on a high note. Always end on a high note. Have you ever left work pissed off? You don't want to be there or frustrated. You don't want to leave them like that because the next time you go to train them, which is important to do. I've had a lot of people tell me, "Well, I don't see why I should train my bird." Say, well, I surely don't want to meet your children. I don't want your children in my house. If you don't train your bird, I don't want your children because I've seen untrained children. My uncle Ted, they had this little boy, and by the time he was 4 years old, he thought his name was Ricky No No because they never actually stopped him from doing anything. They just kept telling him Ricky No No. So he just walked around doing whatever they wanted, and they said Ricky No No. I have
So he
no
didn't
idea
know
what,
that no
huh?
meant anything.
What?
He didn't know that the word no meant anything.
He thought it was his name. Yeah, they were they got really hooked on that Dr. Spock thing where you never correct your children. Um, I hate to know what that kid's like today. Fortunately, I don't actually. Whoops, darn it.
It's probably in jail.
It could be. Either that in a mental institution because you have to learn your limits. And that's what we do is we teach them what they can do more than they thought they can do, and we also teach them their limits. And so they know what parameters they're working in. So, and another thing that people forget to do is observe yourself. Pay attention to what you're doing, because many people will say that, well, I didn't do anything. Well, how closely were you watching your behavior? Well, this morning, a good example of observing yourself. I had Cause in the kitchen, as she usually is, and without thinking, I reached down to grab my Belgian waffle maker after I came up with a low-calorie recipe from ChatGPT, because I'm trying to cut calories. I pull that thing out without paying attention to the fact I'm doing something she's not used to seeing. The next thing I hear is this giant squawk, wings flying, and Cause is on the floor.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, she was afraid of the electric Belgian waffle maker.
Well, it's very
So
scary if you've never seen one before. Those hinges could be jaws.
it could be. So I wasn't observing myself. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I just assuming that I'm just grabbing a kitchen utensil. 9 times out of 10, actually more like 99 out of 100, it doesn't affect her at all. Kind of the thing I have kind of looks like a spaceship. Maybe she thought, aliens were landing. I don't know. Do aliens fly? What do you think, KK? So you have to observe yourself too. Hi, KK. Step up. You want to step up? You want to step up, KK? You don't. No, not when he's over here. Step up. He will step up, but not when he's sitting right next to me playing. There are certain areas where he's not generalized to step up right here. And part of that is 9 times out of 10, when I ask him to step up here, he goes back to his cage. So he doesn't want to do that. When we're done and we're packing them away to bring out the next group, I get him up on my hand. So he doesn't want to do it because that might be what I'm going to do. Again, context, context. And when you're observing your bird, you want to observe the environment, the antecedents. So we call it the antecedents. That just means what comes before. The waffle maker is a good example. See the waffle maker, scream and fly away. So the antecedent was bringing out something, a waffle maker, which Cause was not familiar with. The behavior was flying away, screaming, and the consequence was that she she had to get away from that waffle maker. So she did. She flew away from it. Then I took and put it somewhere and put something where she couldn't quite see me using it and made my waffles. Then after that, I put her up so that I could put the waffle maker away, and that was that.
Oh,
But you want to
oh
see,
no,
you
the
want to notice.
experiment.
Hmm?
Sorry, not
You want
here.
to. Oh, okay. You want to notice the what comes before, what the behavior is, and what they got out of it, the consequence, right? Because behavior is a function of its consequences, right? You don't go to most people do not go to work for the fun of it. They go there for the paycheck. Um, so without that paycheck, they're not going to go to work. Some people enjoy their job, but probably wouldn't work if there was no paycheck anyway. Um, a few people, mostly people who have money, will work just because they want to work, but it's not common. So only 3% of the people in the United States own a business, and only 0.1% of them are the ultra, was it 0.01% are the ultra rich, the ones who don't have to work. So we work for that paycheck and they work for that reward, whatever it may be. Consistency is important. I can't stress how much consistency is important. And giving the reward at the right time. That's something else we discussed before that's important to mention. If your bird is stepping up on your hand and then it sits there for a second and you say, you give it the cue, good bird. And then what are you reinforcing? You're reinforcing them sitting on your hand, not the act of stepping up. You want them to be getting that cue while they're moving over, putting that last foot down on your hand. If you wait until they're sitting there, you're rewarding them for sitting there. So, are you eating the chair, KK? So, excuse me. The reason we use bridges, a bridge being, good bird, that kind of thing. I can see what's over at me again. Um, The reason we use those is because we can't always get the reinforcer to them at the moment they're doing something we want them to do. So that lets them know that there is a reward coming and that they've done something right. It's like putting up a flag. They understand this was the behavior. Otherwise, they're going to associate the reward with whatever's happening at the moment. Right, KK? I'm not putting you up. I think he walked away because I asked him to step up, which in here usually means he's leaving the room. You're not going anywhere. Too bad he doesn't understand English, but sometimes it looks like they do. They understand certain words, and words can be cues too. So you use a bridge to let them know that they just did something right, and you use it at the time it's actually happening. You don't wait until it's done. Um, that's an important thing to keep in mind. Be consistent. And being consistent means if you're training them to step up, don't use your left hand one time, your right hand the other, and then try it in three different rooms. That's like playing Russian roulette with behavior. You don't know what you're going to get. So they're smart. They might figure you out, but they get the prize for training, not you, if you do it like that. Train in the same area using the same motions with the same tones of voice. That way they've got a chance to figure out what the heck you're doing. I have to tell myself these things sometimes too. I'll catch myself trying to work a particular behavior and doing something wrong with it. What you doing, Snowball? And contingency, don't give them a reward when you're training if they don't do the behavior. That's like, the dad that's walking his kid down the toy aisle in the grocery store, and the kid, I want a toy, I want a toy. So he gives them the toy to shut him up. Oh, what are you gonna have? Every time you walk down the toy aisle, you're gonna have a problem. So what do these brilliant parents do in that situation? They avoid the toy aisle. That's because they don't know how to train their kids. And I think all parents should have to take ABA, but are you hopping
Speaking of
around?
which, Don, can you tell me how to train my child to leave the iPad alone?
Well, the basic techniques are exactly the same. Reward for doing something else. But at her age, I don't know how easy that will be, because you have to get the point across. I want that iPad. Um,
I'm trying to stop her from quitting me out of the meeting, but she's just mashing her little hands all over the place.
if you have another object she's more interested in, I don't think there is such a thing there, but that's one
Well,
way.
there's my phone or my Dr. Pepper can, but the can she can cut herself on.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the can, but the phone might work.
Yeah.
You might end up calling somewhere in Shanghai, but
Well, she called Granny earlier, but it's fine if she calls Granny.
yeah, the alternate device that also holds her attention, a phone, is one way to do it. The problem is you're focused on the iPad, right? So she's focused on it because you're focused on it. But you could pretend to focus on the phone and only glance at the iPad part of the time and get her to focus on that. Um, with a child that small, I certainly wouldn't go into any kind of extinction behavior. That's not going to work terribly well. You're just going to get a bunch of crying out of that. I would use replacement behavior. Um, and she's not at the point where she's eating, where you can use a food as a reward, because that can definitely divert them. But right now she's still playing with food, so I think I would be stuck with getting it. But you can also get a device that looks like the iPad, that's made for kids, so they can play with it and try that. May work, may not. She's sharp enough to know it's not the same thing, but it might. If it's something that makes fun colors, and you can get uh, a little video on it or something, it might take her attention. But this, ABA wasn't for animals; it was for people, so autistic kids. So it definitely works with kids.
Oh my gosh. I got up to get the Kindle and the iPhone to give to her. I thought I'll give her two things. And in the time between me getting up from the sofa and getting back, she had gone for the charging cable.
Uh,
My goodness.
I
Birds
know.
and
Well,
babies.
these things are these devices are definitely attractive to all of the animals, not just humans. Babies are attracted to them. The Given the opportunity, these guys would be going after my phone too, but they have learned there are other rewards that are more important than the phone.
Mm,
Peaches was the exception to that. Given the opportunity to talk to somebody on the phone, that was her greatest reward. So she would do that
But
over
she
anything
wanted to
else.
talk on the phone. She didn't want to eat the phone.
No, no, she didn't. Bob just thinks that there's evil creatures in the phone. You know, he's like he's like some of the I don't like the word used when I took anthropology. They called and my anthropology professor didn't like it either. But primitive as in they don't have all this technology. Not that they're primitive people. I mean, they're usually smarter than we are. But um, now I forgot what I was going to say.
They think that cameras are stealing your souls.
Oh, exactly. Boy, you read my mind. That's exactly what they thought. Yeah.
I'm psychic. Ooh.
There's a movie with that in it too, a Western of all things. But that's and it's funny. Usually I can remember the name of the movies, but I only saw it once. Um, that'll bug me until it comes back. But so Bob thinks there's I don't know what he thinks, but he acts as if the devil itself is coming out of the phone. So he will do everything he can to get to the phone and try to destroy it.
Do an exorcism.
Cecil can go either way. Sometimes he's interested, other times he wants to kill it. So Sugar doesn't care. It just gets in the way of her beak petting. Right, Shug? It's really important that you give the reward at the right time, though. Timing is essential because there's no other way they can figure it out because they don't get our language. They have their own, but they don't get our language. So, is that so? Is human. Um, what are you doing there? I think that's the one that people get wrong the most is that they don't give the reward at the right time. The next one would be the contingency. Hey, not eating my shoe. Stop it. No, I'm just letting him know I don't like it because no doesn't actually stop him from doing anything, but he understands it's to let him know that it's not something I want him to do. That's all. And usually he'll agree with me and not continue the behavior, but it's not like I'm commanding him to stop because there's no punishment involved other than taking the shoe away, which is negative. I removed the thing he wanted to attack and play with. You gonna tap me? Yeah, I thought you were. I know, Sugar. I know. This is why Sugar doesn't like me petting her online. Because Cecil will come over and he'll start doing this. I'll be petting Sugar and he'll tap me, so I have to pet him. Silly boy. Now, let's see, what are some of the other things we've gone over? We've talked about DRA, differential reinforcement of another behavior. And if we put that in English, it's basically replacing one behavior with another. So if you've got a bird that likes to chew on your curtains, you get them to chew on rope or something that kind of looks like a curtain, like a sheet or something. You give them something else that will fulfill that need. They'll try to take the need away. Now that'll just make it worse. You know, telling them no and pulling them away from the curtains. That's a good way to reinforce the behavior. You don't want to do that. So give them something else as you replace. There's the DRI, which is it's something that's incompatible. In other words, if a bird is holding a whole almond in the shell in its beak, it's not going to bite you. It's an incompatible behavior. Oh, Pippa. She got like in here for 10 seconds yesterday. I had Mander out and I opened the door to bring her in and she dove at him and of course I just spun her around and put her right back in her cage. Usually I will take out a bird later. I didn't have time yesterday to take her out, so she didn't get out yesterday. She's a little disgruntled today. She got out for, well, I guess it was 30 seconds total. In the door, she dives down to try to get Mander back in the cage. She likes her new cage though, so there was that. Today I have enough time in it. If something goes wrong, I can get her out. She's coming out in the second group, and if she starts acting up again, then I'll take her out separately. But Bob comes out for a half hour. You add her, that's a full hour of separate birds out. Right, Cecil? We've talked about DRO. That's basically what that is you're going to reward them for doing anything other than what you don't want them to do. So if you have a bird that nips you, like let's say the bird does it on an average about every 5 minutes or so, or 5 minutes into the room, it'll start nipping. What you do is you set it so that after 2 minutes, you give it a little piece of treat, right? Just a little bit of treat, and then uh, you look, you watch your watch, or you can set a timer. So when the 2 minute timer goes off, of course, yeah, the thing is, if they start to listen to the buzzer or they hear a sound, then now you're associating that sound with reward. So you got to be careful there. But you wait 2 minutes, you do it again. You keep doing it. So what you're doing is you're rewarding them for not doing that behavior. Well, if they do that behavior, you reset the timer and go 2 more minutes. So you're a minute and a half in, and all of a sudden they do the behavior you don't want. So you start the counter again. You don't say anything. You just start the counter again. And they figure it out. So those are the three essentials: DRA, DRI, and DRO for dealing with behavior modification. There's another one I use in groups, which Dr. Friedman doesn't accept because it's called non-contingent reinforcement. So you're giving reinforcement, but it's not contingent on anything. In other words, it's kind of like come bearing gifts. But what you do is in a room like this, if you have birds that occasionally misbehave, you just occasionally give them a treat. What that does is it gets them focused on you instead of maybe the other bird they like to harass or um, and it works with autistic children too, but it doesn't affect their behavior the next day. So you could do that all one day and they're all getting along, and then you don't do it the next day and you're right back to the same situation. It doesn't fix anything except that day. Non-contingent reinforcement.
It's the grandparent technique.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Just give them treats for existing, basically.
Hmm. And then they pay attention to their grandparents. Well, it's the same thing with the birds or with autistic children. So they know that sooner or later they're gonna get another treat. So it's not so much that they're trying to behave; it's just that they're focused on what's coming, that reward. So, but it does work. And if you're in a situation that's just tough for you that day, but you want to have your bird out and you're having all kinds of problems, that's non-contingent reinforcement is a solution for that day. But then you've got to think about what you're going to do the next day because it doesn't have any effect on the long term, just the short term effect.
And if they're just having a bad day and that's all it is, then as long as you get through, that's the main thing. Because
That's
birds
it.
can
So,
have bad days just like people can. Right, Don?
Oh, they certainly can. Yes, yesterday was Pippa. I've not seen her go that wild. One minute she was acting just like a normal little Pip. The next minute she was, she belonged 63 million years ago before the asteroid hit the Earth. She was totally primal. I'm going to kill that big pink bird.
Ah, not the pink one. Poor pink one, was it, Manda?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was
Oh.
random.
Why does everyone want to kill Mando when he's so sweet?
I don't know, but he draws it well. I know a lot of times he draws it on himself by the way he acts, but he was just sitting on the couch. He wasn't doing anything. He was just sitting there. And he didn't even move. And he barely even noticed what she did because I spun her around so fast and had her out of the room. When I came back in, he was still sitting on the chair. So he really wasn't affected by it. But if I had a video of what she did, most people would have been horrified because it looked like she really wanted to kill him. And just spun her around, put her right back in her cage.
Well, at least Mando's not traumatized.
No, he barely even noticed it.
Good thing he didn't, or you wouldn't be able to get him out of his cage for the next week.
Yeah, and that was the case where it wasn't, well, it worked out like punishment, but in that it stopped her behavior. But when I put her in the cage, but it was a matter of safety. Safety comes first. So,
And it's not really a punishment because she likes her cage, so it's not
mm-mm.
like it's terrible having to go there.
No. So sometimes you have to do something just to protect the other birds. But she just won't be coming out with Mandra in the room, which means that Mandra will come out for a half an hour, and then she'll come out for a half an hour in the group. She seems to get along with, if I watch her closely, she'll get along with everybody else, but she doesn't get along with. It's not a question of getting along. She doesn't tolerate Mander in her environment. So, what are you doing down there?
Maybe Manda has an android.
Maybe. Oh, trying to
Oh
think
well,
of.
Sunny's
Yeah.
eating my Kindle, so that's good.
Oh, well, I hope it's a tasty book she's eating.
I don't understand it because she can't even read, so I don't know why she's interested in that thing. And it doesn't even have any colours or anything. It's black and white, so.
Well, it's technology though,
Mm,
so they're drawn to tech, which is good because if they don't learn technology, then later on, it's going to be trouble for them.
yeah.
I was listening to a oligarch, a billionaire, talk about the people he hires in his businesses, and he has a form now. You always fill out some form, like an application for work. And he said that if there's a question on there, is like, do you use artificial intelligence, and how do you use it? And he said if they mark no, they just take that and put it in the denied. He won't hire anybody that doesn't use it. And the reason he's got is that why should I hire somebody that's going to take an hour to do something they can do in 5 minutes?
I once used Siri by accident. Does that count?
Yeah, you could put that down there, but I don't. That's not considered real artificial intelligence. I got a
It's
funny
certainly
story.
not intelligent.
No, not intelligent at all. I was talking to somebody who his son does artificial intelligence programming, and he says, "Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it." And then a little later on, there was a question, and he picked up his phone and he went, "Sir," and he asked the question, and I just started laughing, and he's looking at me. I'm just laughing because, like, no, you don't want to use AI, but you're going to go to an idiot and ask a question, right? It's serious. Like that's the bottom of the barrel trying to get an answer out of that thing.
Shh. Sorry, I
But
wasn't
so
shushing you. I'm shushing the
I know,
baby.
I know who you were. Although it's not a bad idea. Sometimes people should shush me, but so it's important to do technology. I know there's somebody who's supposedly training birds to use iPads, but the thing is, I have my doubts that's actually happening. I haven't really watched it, but the reason I haven't watched is because that person has not taken any classes in behavior. They have no accolades for behavior psychology or anything like that in their history. They're an attorney. It's an attorney that's doing this. I'm sorry, but if you're an attorney and you want to be training birds, you should take some ABA before you go online and try to show people what to do. So, but they're smart. I know that if I set up some kind of buttons and they could choose what kind of movies to watch, they've got their favorites. Hi, Cecil. Let me switch the camera around since you're being cute, which isn't that easy to do here. Hold on. There we go. Hey, Cecil. Yeah, they're smart. I'm sure that if you could create a panel with buttons they couldn't tear apart, you could get them to choose what movies they wanted to watch. Might be an interesting fight if you gave a panel like that to more than one bird. I wonder if they'd vocalize back and forth about that. I want to watch Andy Griffith.
Okay, so there's a few questions in the chat. But also the question from Jamin Jamie, she has donated $20 along with her question. So thank you very much, Jamin Jamie. And the question is, what should I do if I think my umbrella cockatoo has mites?
Well,
she also has parakeets and green cheeks.
yeah, it's highly unlikely that your umbrella has mites, but you can have the vet check it out. Don't put anything on your bird's body without a avian vet approving it. It's really rare because umbrellas, this dust that they create on their body, mites don't like it. So they usually don't go anywhere near a cockatoo because of that dust. So I actually have never known of a cockatoo with mites ever. But that doesn't mean it isn't possible. So what is your bird doing that makes you think it has mites? Is it scratching a lot?
And while Jamie is typing, there's also a question from Spirit Matter who says, "Do I hear a baby or a bird?" Well, if it's coming from my end, it's a baby.
Yep. Yeah, that's something we don't usually have to worry about with cockatoos is mites. It's not something they usually pick up.
Although she also has parakeets and green cheeks, so maybe they have them, but they've also got oil glands, so I don't know if it's that common in them either.
Well, it's more likely there in a true parrot than it is in a cockatoo. And even if you're around other birds that have them, they won't last long on a cockatoo. Um, it's like mosquitoes. When I was in Fallbrook, we had daytime mosquitoes, and as long as the birds out, they didn't bother me at all because the mosquitoes hit that dust and either they go away or they die, but they don't bite you. But as soon as I'd put the birds up and I was closing things down, I'd have mosquitoes buzzing around my head.
Yeah.
They
I
have a
would
natural.
imagine that if they're living in close quarters, then the cockatoo dust would kill all the mites on the parakeets and green cheeks as well, but who knows?
Yeah, check with your avian vet on that. If the avian vet, if you don't have a local avian vet, You can ask Chat GPT about it. I could do that, but I have never seen it um, or heard of it actually. So I'll look into it some more for you though and see if what's out there. I have a pretty good relationship with my AI, and it seems to be able to get all the latest paperwork, all the latest abstracts and that kind of thing without any problems. So check for redness around the follicles, any kind of disturbance on the skin. I would check that. The other thing to do is, it could be something in their environment that they're reacting to. I would say allergy, but I had one vet tell me, "Oh, they don't get allergies," and of course I said, "Oh, so how do you know that?" And he just looked at me and I said, he's not a true avian vet, but I said, "Do they have any allergy tests for parrots?" And he said, "No." I said, "Then how do you know they don't have allergies?" Then he changed the subject. So could be something in the environment affecting their skin. Something in the air can do it. Like Pippa sneezes because she she can't take the dry air or the dust in the air. They can't take their own dust. How's that for fun? So I have to keep these humidifiers running 24/7 so she doesn't have problems with her lungs. But
Well, Jamie says the other birds seem fine, so it's just the umbrella.
well, if there were mites, the umbrella would be the least likely to have them. Um, Hold on a second. I'm going to ask that question since I have the relationship with my thing here.
And we need to play the video for donations as well.
Yeah, can't do both at the
Because
same
we got
time.
$20 from Jamie, so thank you ever so much, Jamie.
Thank you. And I'm going to check that out while this is playing. Okay, I checked that out, and uh, maybe I can put that in the show notes so you can read it. I'll see if I can put it up on the show notes today because it is extremely rare, as I said, and ChatGPT listed the mites that could get on a cockatoo, rarely, um, and how to tell. So I'll put that up for you. It's funny, red mites, which are they're a mite that that people who grow marijuana have to deal with. If you grow marijuana in your house, you have to deal with these red mites. They don't live on anything, but they come out at night and they will eat any animal that's around. They will try to go after your cockatoo as well. But generally, they'll go after every living thing in the house. So, but
Including the weed.
I'll put that up on the show notes because nobody reads the show notes anyway. So I'll just put it up there for you, and you can see what ChatGPT had to say about it. So, and I've got it trained to give me all the real skinny. It doesn't go around the beat around the bush or try to soften things. Like it hits me with its best shot every time. So it knows I know enough that it can't bamboozle me. Ah! Well, thanks for the donation, and thank you guys for being here. And we'll see you on Wednesday. We'll have a new topic. I think Cecil's going to choose it, though. Are you going to choose it for me?
Oh, Jamie wants to know where are the show notes. So when the video gets posted onto YouTube, when the recording gets posted, they'll be in the description box.
Yep. Or you can email me. I can send it to you that way.
Yep.
It's Father Don at chloesanctuary.org, and I'll send it to you that way. Website has where you can post comments on the website. That gets through to me too. It comes in on my email. So
Yep.
it'll be the first one if your bird shows having mites. But there's always the first. Well, I wouldn't say there's always the first time, but
Could
frequently
be a
there are
medical
first.
miracle.
Yeah. Yeah, first
Making
first
history.
thing ChatGPT said is that it's extremely rare for a cockatoo to get mites, but then it listed which ones could possibly do it. So, and what the signs are. Okay, guys, thanks for being here. Say thank you, Eleanor, for moderating. Amy's
That's all
off
right. I'm
out
sorry
of.
that Sunny and I aren't as efficient as Anne Marie, but we're trying our best.
No, you were great. Don't be self-deprecating. That's my job.
No, it's my job.
No, it's my job.
Mine.
Mine. No, it's Mander's job.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
Thank you, guys. We will see you next time.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
The Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.